Oh, hello. I found this sick visor today in a bin, and so I put it on. In today's video, we're gonna be kind of going over things that can be printed. We typically print on fabric and textiles and, you know, for apparel and stuff. But we also have a big side of our industry where we print on like metal, wood, plastics. For our example today, we're gonna be printing on a skateboard. Usually skateboards aren't printed on, so we'll see what happens. Step one, we're gonna grab our supplies. So I have my deck here. I have my skateboard deck, my blank skate. Super good quality, 7-ply maple, of course. I'm gonna need a couple weights. Ow! This is steel, this is lead, so whatever. I found this piece of wood that I'm gonna use as kind of like to help hold the screen down. Obviously you need your screens all ready to go for the 3 different colors, and then we need to grab our ink. Today I'm gonna be using, it's called general purpose ink, so like all purpose. It's a 9700 series from NASDAR. I love this ink. It's really good for printing on stuff like wood. Also some plastics, not all plastic, but some. I also use these other inks too, I use a lot of this Coragloss, which is good for like stuff like Legos and some of those kind of plastics. I use this enamel. I have some AD, which is like an epoxy, so it's a 2-part ink. And then I have gloss vinyl, which is really good for faux leather, stuff like that, that kind of fabric, obviously vinyl. So yeah, we'll be using all-purpose today for wood. Now I need to go grab some squeegees, or at least a squeegee, and a couple knives. Okay, I found a squeegee that looks good. I got a stiffer one, stiffer squeegee. We're using a triple ply, so it's this is a 70, 90, 70 durometer, whereas we have some other squeegees that have different uses for them. And then I'm gonna grab a few of our ink grabbers. Some butter knives. Go to your mom's kitchen and take her knives, and then we just ground them down a little bit so that they don't like kill our screen. So we just got all the supplies, and so now we're ready to move on to step 2. We got to set this up. We got to get it ready for print. If I was printing 1,000 of these, I might adjust how I'm going to set this up, but let me kind of show you what I do. Obviously I grab my board, and from a previous job I had this little lip here that I can use as a kind of like a butt register it. So I found a place that I can put it, and I'm just gonna slide it up until it hits that, so I can repeat that process. And then I just need something to guide where it is on the screen. I'm gonna eyeball it because there's only 2. And so I'm gonna go with, it's actually landing perfectly centered on these holes on the edge. And I already know that this is straight to the screen. So anyway, that's how I put my board on there so I can repeat. If I was doing 1,000 of them, I would have set this up a little bit different, made a better jig, and spent more time on the setup, but where there's 2, like I say. Next thing I'm gonna do is grab a screen, which we're gonna print white as the base. And since this is lifted off, my off contact adjustment can only go so much. And so I'm gonna grab a little stick just to lift my screen up so that it has more gap to the board. I'm just gonna adjust the palette until I get to where I want it to be for my print. And again, this is kind of rudimentary because it's going on a skateboard, so it's not super technical exactly where you gotta be, but yeah, like I said, when we do thousands of parts, we spend more time on our setup. So now you can see when I push it down, I can see my lines. I have my guidelines from the screen when we prepared the image, and I can see that that's now in the center. So, quick little problem we got here. With screen printing on a concave, no go in this method. But in our case, we're just gonna freaking make it work, and it's gonna be way interesting. So I wouldn't recommend to do this for like selling these at all times, but I'm gonna try it out instead of using the other process that's typically used with skateboard, which is kind of like it's like a heat press. So if you imagine like printing off a big like sticker with powder, and you throw it through one of those, it's like a giant roller heat press, and then it fuses the ink and kind of sublimates the board so it's part of the board. So maybe I'll get into it, watch out. Okay, so I'm just gonna continue setting up. So what I was saying is I wanna get this to fold down. There's no off contact, which is gonna create a blurrier image, but in this case, with one pole, it's gonna be awesome. And so, yeah, we're gonna weight it down. So like I said, I found this random board that I'm gonna put in here. It's good. Yeah, I made this. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab one of these weights. And I'm just gonna push it right here. And so it kind of stretches that down to where I want it. There we go. That's feeling about right. And I can also lower the off contact. Sweet. See, that's a lot closer now. And then I'm gonna grab a clamp and clamp this side so I can start pushing this down. Again, not a recommended way, but this is kind of like a practice, let's figure it out, experiment. So again, if you are somebody that makes skateboards or prints on them, I would love to know how you print an image that's so wide. How do you print on an image that's so wide on a skinnier skateboard, or do you just use like that lithography method where you like print it out on a like an inkjet printer or a sublimation printer? Sweet, it's feeling pretty dope. And then I'm gonna put another weight too, just for safe measure. Honestly, if someone reaches out to me and says they want me to print them a skateboard, I'll spend all the time to do it, just to keep learning. So anyway, I grabbed my squeegee and it's big enough. We're good to go. I'm gonna grab my ink now, using some of this Ink white. Get them locally at your local Badger. Just like when you're spreading on mama's toast, just grab a little white. Throw your ink in there. Again, we're only doing 2 prints, and so I just want a little bit so that I don't have to clean up my screen like mad. I'm not gonna flood it. We're gonna print this one dry. All right, we're gonna go send them down the dryer just to speed up the process. Usually you can wait for, 4 hours and it'll dry, but we're gonna speed up the process because we're excited. Also, it turned out so sick. So now I'm gonna take ink back. And again, if I let this sit out for a few hours, it's gonna start drying up on me, and even more so in my screen. So typically on air dry, when I'm printing something that needs air dry ink, which like all purpose, epoxy, enamel, stuff like that, I will actually back flood it, just treat it like water based, I should say that. So back flood it. You always want to keep it moist so that your screen doesn't dry out. Anyway, I'm kind of doing the do as I say, not as I'm doing, or whatever. So, okay, and then citron. We need some citrus. Now I'm gonna grab my next color. Make sure you put it in the same direction. Okay, so same thing, repeat. All right, that was how to print a skateboard. Turned out super dope. I'm like actually super surprised by how good it turned out. I love it. One thing you can do, so to preserve the longevity, you could clear coat them. We might do that. You could polyurethane the bottom of those and they would look awesome. We're obviously gonna skate them. It's winter right now, super snowy, but yeah, I'm gonna throw some hardware on it and go try to do a kickflip. Skate, skate.
Again, like
it's been a minute.
Broke records while loose leaf and I'm coming now.
This sick trick, guys. It's gonna snap, I bet, but it's all right. All right, count it. Here we go, dude. Oh shoot, pop shove it. You're never done skating until you're done skating, you know what I mean? Right here, Amazon board, lasted for a 249-pound man, because I weighed myself this morning. Lasted about 3 ollies. I mean, I'm not the best skater. I mean, I used to be pretty good. But yeah, and I probably have bad form. Didn't land on the bolts, But still, this thing's a piece of shit. So, print looks so good. That's gonna go on our wall of shame or fame, can't decide. Also, that's why we printed 2 of them, because they look hella dope. Yeah, look forward to our future videos.